早上好，为这一天感谢上帝。我希望你做完吹的很好，我很好，谢谢。我有话要说，我知道我需要说英语，每个人都懂英语，没关系，我会。感谢你对我以上的工作感兴趣，我爱你们。对不起，sorry, I can't give you subtitles right now, but I am still learning Mandarin, so I need to practice. Thank you all very much for being with me at this moment. I love you all. If this video is going to be of most use to you, you're going to have to remain mature and broad in your mind. And I appreciate you taking this journey with me. I am never and have never been comfortable with speaking openly about food addiction. I did not make it up. Food addiction is very real. And the foods that you can be addicted to, you can safely consume them if you're conscious about it. But due to the regulations that we have and the things that we have passed through the FDA, it's very, very easy to overconsume and become addicted to a lot of these products. I need to say some things in this video I'm fairly uncomfortable talking about. But if you are very serious about your health, and you can take food addiction seriously, this could be very healing for you and very helpful. Thank you very much for your interest in your own health. Your honesty to yourself about your own health is crucial to the degree of your own health. Lying to yourself prevents you from improving, and lying is harmful to your mental health, so you really need to take it seriously. Are you overweight? Be honest. And if you are, why? Do you know why? Do you care why? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm trying to help you. If you don't have a body weight issue, you still need to be sensitive to those two. And food addiction leads to a lot of overeating. Overeating leads to obesity. So if you do have a lot of extra body weight, I'm not picking on you. However, there is a logical possibility that you are more likely to be living with a food addiction. It's my understanding that when you don't live with food addictions, a lot of extra body weight and bloating goes away naturally. And the reason is, it's very logical. The reason is you are not putting the wrong things in because you're consciously eating. And that means you have no food addictions or controlled food addictions, because you can live with them and it's not going to kill you necessarily right away, kind of thing, right? But when you're putting the wrong things in, that means you're not putting the right things in. If you're not putting the right things in, your body swells up because it's storing all the garbage that you're putting in. And the reason it does that is that it's afraid it's starving to death. And that may be confusing, but very directly, if your body is asking you for very specific things, and you put a lot of food in there, and not any of the food you put in there has any of the things that your body is looking for, it's going to take your body 2 hours roughly to realize that you gave it nothing but garbage. And then it's going to ask you for the same thing it asked you for the first time. So since you're feeling hungry after 2 hours, which is due to not giving your body what it needs and filling it with garbage, well, to you, it's a second hunger pain, but to your body, it's still looking for what it needed the first time, respectfully. So you could see how that leads to overeating and obesity, but additionally, your body thinks it's starving to death, not because you're not feeding it, because of what you're feeding it. And since you're not feeding it what nature wants you to feed it, it thinks it's starving to death in the same way that you get a brain freeze from really cold things because your brain, thinks that you're going to freeze to death. And so you get a brain freeze really quick. And when you go into water and your hands wrinkle up and your feet wrinkle up, well, that's very quickly adapting your body to living in the water. So it's all linked. It's all linked. So you could see how your body is swelling up because it's storing what you are giving it, thinking it's starving to death because it's not getting what it needs. And if you don't know what it needs, I'm not judging you. I do. I know what it needs. And I can tell you, and I'm going to tell you. Because I have to. Because I know most people don't realize it. And I do. So I am really trying to help. So you could see how food addiction leads to overeating and compulsive eating. And so therefore, if you're overweight or struggle with your weight, respectfully, there's a stronger chance that you have a food addiction. Removing food addictions is not generally fun. So not a lot of people want to do it. And I understand that. And I am very reasonable and realistic in what I'm presenting. If you have a food addiction from the time you're 5 and now you're 45, well, you can live with that sugar addiction your whole life. And you may think that you're okay and you might be all right, but sugar is an unnatural substance. And see, now when I start talking about these things, I know people get their back up because they don't want to give it up and they like it and different things. I would like to remind you that your perspective is not the only perspective. And the perspective that I'm offering you is a very healthy one. I actually don't expect anybody to take this seriously at this point. And that's just being direct with you. Eat it. I can't even tell you that I don't care. I was just going to say I don't care. And I can't tell you that because I do. Because I have taken this degree of care of my own health. So you cannot accept my help. It's not going to mean that I'm going to want you to be less healthy. I'll just go be healthy in my own, respectfully. But I am very happy to help any of those that are willing to hear it out. Like, for example, if I tell you getting drunk happens because the alcohol is poisoning your bloodstream, and the hangover happens because that is the alcohol and the poison leaving your body. Now, you could drink. If you do choose to drink, please do it responsibly, and I don't want to harp on it because I know people love their alcohol. I'm very confident I am going to die without another drop of alcohol in my body, and I don't remember the last time I had it. But you can. It's your thing. Go for it. Do it responsibly. The fact of the matter is, It is poisoning your blood. That is why you're drunk. The hangover is it leaving. But you can do it. And so just take it at face value, right? And that's what people have a hard time doing when I speak openly about food addiction for similar reasons. But the problem is that a lot of people don't even realize they have sugar addictions and salt addictions and caffeine addictions. But if you talk to somebody about alcohol, they may not like if you say that to them, but they're still going to drink it if they want to. And still, they know that. Like if you drink alcohol, you know what's going on. You're not stupid. But it's worth it for you, so you do it. And I'm not judging you. I'm really not. But it's different when it comes to people's food, because you're going to defend your diet and you want to eat what you like. And you also want things to be ideal, and unfortunately they're not. And there was decisions made many, many years ago that have a lot of dangerous things happening in the FDA, in our food products. And if you're used to having marshmallows in your cereal since you were young, and you just consume, like if you would eat a whole bag of candy, that's too much sugar. It's just too much sugar for your body. If you want to consume sugar, you should really do it on small amounts, and make sure you drink lots of water to protect yourself and stuff while you eat it. So that's just what it is. I would never sit down and eat a bag of candy. I couldn't. I couldn't. I can't even eat certain chocolate bars anymore. So I need to talk openly about food addiction. Sugar is not supposed to be in the body. It sticks to your veins. It sticks to your arteries. If you drink sugary drinks with foods that also are strenuous on your circulatory system and your arteries, like red meat, you can, but the fact is what it is. Well, if you also drink sugary drinks with that, you're compounding your risks. And I'm not telling you not to have them, although I don't, and I'm not saying you should have them, but I know you're going to no matter what I say maturely. But I'm trying to give you very sincere, honest advice on how you can do that and still protect your circulatory health. Salt addiction works in a way where it's the degree of salt that's in your body, not salt itself, because salt itself is good for you. The level that has been normalized as okay by the FDA, I know you're going to tell me is okay, and I know why. And I request that you remain mature in your mind when I tell you that the amount that we have normalized as okay by the FDA is not. And it's right through all our products. So in that, a majority of the population is taking in too much salt because the FDA did not protect our health in that way. You do have to be conscious, and they have the right to defend themselves that eating is conscious choice. However, the FDA is supposed to uphold this degree of care for our children's health. That's how you protect them. So in that, the market should not have the flood of salty products it has. And they admit that there's too much because there's so many low sodium options out now. And they're trying, but the regular options should just be weaned out or gone because they're abusive to the human body. You can eat them. Go ahead. I won't. It has to do with the quantity of salt. Now, the reason that matters is if you eat this, these are just easy numbers that do not correlate to real degrees of salt and stuff like that. I'm just going to give you some easy numbers because I want this to be in layman's terms. If 5 is healthy for the human body And there's a chip on the market that's 10. Well, that is double, right? Well, if they then make one that's 5 and call it the low sodium, that would make sense because it's easy numbers for the company. They cut it in half, and cutting it in half is impressive. However, the low sodium should be the regular. So everybody that's eating the regular is eating too much salt, and it says right on the bag that it's regular, which is normalized. So in that, the reason I would be concerned about you consuming too much salt, without talking too much about it, is very much so circulatory health and blood pressure and stuff like that. It's all very important, and it does very much so influence how your brain works. Because if you need 10 to be satisfied by your chip, it's because you have upped your levels, and in order for your brain to be satisfied with the level that's in your mouth, you need 10. The only way you can get it down from 10 so that you have a healthy degree of salt is if you start eating 8 and start eating 6 and get yourself down. And then you train your mouth to be the satisfaction you had with 10, you will now have that satisfaction with 5 because you yourself trained your own mouth to just expect less salt to be satisfied. By your mouth expecting less salt to be satisfied, right? Well, what that does is it protects your own health because you don't need the dangerous product anymore. You see what I'm saying? So in that, the dangerous product shouldn't even be on the market. And they know that. And it is conscious choice, and they can have it there. So in that, I'm trying to help people understand that you yourself have to work the expectation down to your taste buds in reference to salt and salt addiction. It acts more like it's dangerous to your health due to the degree. And then when you like it, when you do eat it, you eat too much of it. I personally don't have a salt shaker or a pepper shaker. I don't add it to anything. If it's low sodium, eat it. If it's regular sodium, I generally won't. But you can live how you want. Salt is very directly related to circulatory health. It's a type of addiction of sorts. It's not really addiction. It's more like dangerous levels, right? Now, you can apply that same concept to caffeine in that if you take a can of highly caffeinated beverage, if you take that same degree of caffeine and stretch it out, it won't be as dangerous, but caffeine is generally addictive. And the caffeine that's in regular black coffee is not the same caffeine that's in energy drinks because it's different types of caffeine. Natural caffeine is healthy for your natural body in proper quantities. Unnatural caffeine is harmful to your body in any quantity. It's not my rule. It's like the alcohol with the blood. It's not my rule. Drink them if you want, but I highly suggest staying away from energy drinks. Because just like the salt level, you now need the degree of caffeine that's in that drink. It only took you like 5 minutes to drink it. Well, in 5 minutes, you pounded the caffeine in, your level went way up, and that's not my rule. And what's going to happen? Guaranteed, you're going to crash. And if you got that energy from that energy drink, chances are you're not thinking about food energy. And if you're not eating food for your energy and you're relying on energy drinks, there's a strong possibility you have a caffeine addiction. You don't have to kick it. You can keep it your whole life, but you still have it. I do not have a caffeine addiction, and yes, I used to. I made a video about caffeine. It's on my YouTube. I would appreciate if you have concerns about your own caffeine levels, you check it out. Briefly, when caffeine addiction leaves the body, you know the hangover is your poison leaving your bloodstream? Well, when the caffeine leaves your bloodstream, it's in a headache. And you could see how if you take a painkiller that has caffeine in it, but you're actually feeding a caffeine addiction, you would feed it thinking that you were just getting rid of a natural headache, but you were actually giving it caffeine. And you could see how if your body was hungry, asking for you for food, like I said in the beginning, and you put an energy drink in instead, well, you could see how that would lead to overweight, like being overweight and swelling, because you're not giving your body what it needs. Additionally, the irony of it is a lot of people drink caffeine for the boost, and I have such a higher quality of energy. I am just so absolutely maxed out with energy, with no crashes and no addicted mind things on food energy than I ever could have had on caffeine. My caffeine energy, when I look back at it, is garbage energy. It's such bullshit energy. I am not going back to caffeine energy because it's low quality energy. My food energy, now that is high quality energy, because when my body asks for shit, I know what to give it. So when I do, my body weight is maintained. There's no swelling. I'm highly energized, positive. I can give everybody their credit. It has nothing to do with me. Even if they can't give me mine, I can still give them their credit. That goes back to the lack of addiction, because my mind isn't vibrating. If you tell somebody that's addicted to something that's not food to give up their addiction, well, it's understood there's an irritation. Exact same with food addiction, because it's still an addiction. Exact same with caffeine addiction, because it's still an addiction, and that is a quality of addiction. Not a quality of caffeine, not a quality of sugar, not a quality of alcohol, not a quality of heroin. That's an addiction thing. And this is the same, and that goes into why I don't want to talk about it openly, but it also is why I have to. So if you think you have a caffeine issue, I would appreciate you checking that out on my YouTube and educating yourself. When you wean down, you have to push through the headaches and just know what you're doing. Don't cut yourself off. I don't suggest you quit caffeine addiction cold turkey, because you're going to put yourself through hell with your headaches. But you need to wean your levels down yourself. So if you have 3 coffees a day, have 2. Make it work. And the second one, you'll really appreciate it because you've been waiting to have it. You need to work on you. I do not approve of energy drinks in any way. But again, do what you want. But I hope you take this seriously, because it does lead to swelling and overeating. And one more. The most severe. Sugar. The sugar addiction is severe. The sugar levels from the FDA. I know you think I shouldn't care. And I'm literally fighting back emotion. I'm so fucking pissed off at what's going on with the sugar addiction. And when I kicked my sugar addiction, it was like fucking hell. And I know that if you lived your whole life with a sugar addiction, you're not likely to face it. And I'm not judging you. I went through hell. And if you like eating it, and this is a new concept to you, you're not likely to quit it. And I'm not naive to that. But if you can remain calm and mature in your mind, sugar is an addiction. And the levels from the FDA are catastrophically off the charts. We are supposed to be protected from our market being flooded with bullshit products, and we are definitely not protected from our market being flooded with bullshit products. And again, if you're around my age and you've been eating it your whole life and you don't realize it, there's a strong chance you don't realize it, and there's a strong chance you're not going to kick it. And that's just being very direct with you. But it is still an addiction. It still leads to overeating, and it still leads to not giving your body what it's asking for. So the whole thing with the conscious eating plan is give your body what it wants and what it needs. And as soon as you do, There's less room for that shit. You don't want it anymore. When I think about smoking cigarettes, I know a lot of people can relate to this. When you quit cigarettes and then you think about it, you can't even believe you ever did it. I'm really sorry to say this because it's really awkward for me. That's how I feel about sugar. But it was hell. And just to move on, because I know I could go on about it forever, what I'm looking at doing is, by bringing this to the light and correcting products as best as we could, which I don't suspect the FDA is going to allow someone like me to help, but of course I would be happy to, but I don't expect them to listen to me. Regardless, we as responsible parents still want healthy children. And if you don't want healthy children, I cannot agree with your perspective. And I don't give a fuck what you're eating. I'm telling you, the sugar thing is a serious issue. And we as responsible parents need to take it seriously. You should not be giving your children marshmallows in their breakfast and sugar in the morning. I want you to take this very seriously. If your child gets up in the morning and their body tells them they need something because they're a creature of nature and they put sugar in, 2 hours later, when they're in the middle of class, they could be 5 years old, in the middle of class, trying to get used to being in school and learning, and their body is looking for what they didn't get at breakfast time, and their body is very much so reacting to a real addiction. Once they're a couple years in, if they're used to having abusive amounts of sugar, which is most common because our market is flooded with these products, so logically, most people are eating them. That's why we need the FDA to not allow that to happen. But they haven't. So most people are eating them. And most people, since 71 till now, have, and most of them have the addiction, and most of them are not going to kick it. But that child is very much so reacting to an addiction when they're in class, they're having trouble focusing. Of course, they're still a human. A less mature human. Well, in some cases. But please take that seriously. Keep sugar out of your children's breakfast. They don't need sugar in the morning. Regardless, I need to get back to it. This is what I'm saying is a very reasonable and logical thing. This is what it is. We need to not feed our children the same degree of sugar. That's what it's about. If our children do not get the same degree of sugar that we had, they will not develop the food addiction that the majority has because our market is flooded with it. And that is just very mature and responsible in reference to human health. The FDA is supposed to hold that degree of respect for our health in the way I do, and I understand that the way I uphold my health is expansive to most people, but that's the degree the FDA is supposed to take so that the people can relax. The people are not relaxing when they're loaded with food addictions. And when you try to talk to the majority about shaking an addiction, well, you can see very clearly why I'm not comfortable talking about any of this on camera. But I hope you can take this half hour seriously, because if you can make a major difference in your child's life and in your life. And my health understanding is coming very soon. It can make a major difference to all the children in the world because it's nature. I figured shit out, and I'm going to tell you. Because I am nature. And I love everybody. The bird in the tree. And I want to help as many humans as I can, regardless of status, age, gender, geography, sexuality, or personal detail. I want to help as many humans as I can develop their own degree of true health. And you can't do that unless you know how to properly take care of your body, and you will soon. Thank you for being with me in this half hour. Eat well, remain optimistic, create a great day for yourself. I love you all. 对所有人的和平与爱，再次感谢上帝。Bye for now.